Good morning and welcome to today's webinar on personal grounding testing and ESD Protected Area Access Control. My name is Tim Hacker and I'm the Regional Sales Manager for Desco Europe. Joining me on this call is Stephen Burns, the Desco Europe Brand Manager. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning, Tim, and good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us, as Tim has said. My role today, a couple of things that I'll be helping out with. One is to demonstrate some of the products that Tim will be presenting. And also, I'll be helping out with answering questions a little later on at the end of the webinar. So we would invite you, please, to ask any questions that you have, either questions that you brought with you or questions that come up as we go through the presentation this morning. You can see on the screen how to submit those questions. So we really would invite you to do that. We obviously have material prepared, but we'd love to be answering the questions that you have as well. So this is how you do that. We may not get the time to answer all of the questions, or some of the questions might be perhaps a little too involved for us to go into during the webinar, but we'll certainly answer every single question by email following the webinar, and as many as we can, as I say, we'll answer in a section at the end of the webinar as well. But for now, I'll hand back to Tim to begin the presentation. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Stephen. So during the webinar today, we will go through the requirement for testing personal grounding devices, the different types of testers, data logging software and reporting, and access control and available accessories. This is table 2 taken from the European standard, which can be purchased on the IEC website. We have provided a link to the IEC website on this slide, and we will share the PowerPoint with you after this webinar. There should be a compliance verification test carried out on all wrist straps and footwear. There should be a continuity test for the wrist strap, and the wrist strap should test at less than 3.5 times 10 to the 7 ohms. And the footwear system test is the resistance to groundable point test and should be less than 1 times 10 to the 8 ohms. Of course, all of our testers are designed to test in accordance with these published limits, but there is more to the requirements of the standard than just the test limit. So firstly, each company must have a compliance verification plan to show records of tests to provide evidence of conformity to the technical requirements, whether that is testing a wrist strap and or footwear on a daily basis. And we're going to talk about this in more detail a little later on. Another requirement of the standard is that the access to the ESD protected area shall be limited to personnel who have completed training and have been retrained annually. So you can imagine if an employee from the office or someone who is not used to handling ESD sensitive devices comes into the lab without an ESD garment, for example, they might stand too close to the ESD sensitive devices on a workbench or shelving, or even handle the product without proper precautions. They could then damage the product unknowingly. So controlling access to the employees that have had regular training and their training is up to date reduces this risk. So to provide a system solution to this access limitation requirement, Desco Europe offers 3 periodic touch testers with access control capability. And you can see them on your screen now. These are the Combo Tester X3, Combo Tester X3 Plus, and the Smart Lock Pro. And just to give you a quick overview of the features of each, so the Combo Tester, you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, has simultaneous testing of wrist strap and footwear in less than 3 seconds. So if you compare that with alternatives, where you have to test the wrist strap and foot separately, this is going to be much faster. There's a solid state test switch with no moving parts, which reduces the risk of mechanical failure. A 30-volt test signal, which ensures accurate testing for ESD footwear up to 100 megohms. Selectable test limits, so that you can set the limits according to your internal requirements. Now we'll move on to the Combo Tester X3 Plus, and in addition to the features of the X3, there's a 5-inch coloured touchscreen display, which allows for improved results displayed to the operators, including resistance measurements rather than the pass-fail test results, fail high, fail low, and a pass. And this also displays the temperature and relative humidity in the facility. Test limits are selectable within the X3 Plus software as well. And finally, the Smart Lock Pro on the right-hand side of your screen. And again, in addition to the Combo Tester X3 and the Combo Tester X3 Plus, this has operator identification to allow you to assign test requirements per operator, automated data collection, replacing manual paper logs, which increase accuracy and reduces costs, and automated reporting capabilities, making management of your ESD control program simpler. So in addition to the main units, there are also a number of accessories available for use with the 3 units on the previous slide. Now, as you can see here on the left-hand side, there's a contactless test switch, which can activate the tester to test the operator's dual wire wrist strap and footwear without every operator having to touch the test button. A full turnkey turnstile solution with the tester already integrated, and a stand as an alternative to wall mounting. And we also have these devices at our Letchworth demo area. And as Stephen mentioned earlier, we will cross over to Stephen for a live demo in a moment or two. Also available is the calibration unit or limit comparator, so that the company can perform in-house calibration instead of sending the tester off to be calibrated and having a downtime of days. This can be reduced to minutes with an in-house calibration. And take, for example, a company that has 5 testers. They can have one limit competitor to calibrate all the testers in-house. So there's a financial saving there as well. Finally, we have a glove test fixture that provides an increased contact surface for more accurate testing of operators who wear gloves. Now we will join Stephen Burns to our facility in Letchworth, who will perform a live demo for us now.
Thanks, Tim. We've just to let you know, we've seen some questions that the sound quality hasn't been fantastic. So apologies for that to anybody who's struggling with the sound. This is being recorded, so when we send the recording to you, I'm sure the sound quality will be much better, but apologies for the sound quality on the live presentation. So hope you can see me now. And welcome to our demo area. You can see that we have here a workbench set up with a number of devices ready to demonstrate. We also, you can't see, but just through to my right, we have the warehouse where all of our in-stock product is available, so that we can demonstrate any in-stock product really within a moment's notice. So if you let us know about a product that you'd like to see in person, virtually, then we'd be very happy to organize that within a day or so and get that live demonstration set up. We typically use Skype or Teams or GoToMeeting, GoToWebinar, but we're equally happy to use any web conferencing platform that you're familiar with in order to do that. We're aware that it's tricky to organize for a salesperson to come and visit with a product. So this is a solution to that enables you still to see the product that you're interested in pursuing and seeing those solutions to making sure that they're going to work for you before you move ahead with that. So that option is available to you, is ready, it's here. So please make use of that for any products that you're interested in. I'm going to switch the camera we're going to take a look at the Combo Tester X3 and the SmartLog Pro. These are devices that Tim was just presenting. Obviously, we can't fit absolutely everything into the camera shot, so apologies that my head will be cut off at various points, but it's more important that we see the product. So first of all, we'll start with the Combo Tester X3, which has the contactless test switch attached. And if I come around here, I'll just hold my feet up here so you can see that I'm wearing heel grounders. And I also have a dual wire wristband, which I'll put on now. Now you can see circling on the device here, this is the normal test switch. But in these times when hygiene control is very much in people's minds, all of those surfaces that multiple people are going to touch and come into contact with, it's just raising questions and concerns in people's minds. So the solution that we've come up with is the contactless test switch. It uses an infrared light, as Tim mentioned, and that allows us to activate the test without having to touch the same surface as 50, 100 other operators. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the camera a little closer so we can see the results more clearly on the display. So if I first of all attach my wristband, I'm not going to stand on the foot plate first of all. I'm going to activate the test switch. And you can see on the device, let me move the cord, you can see that I've passed my wristband and failed my footwear. I'll do that once more. So a fail on the footwear and a pass on the wristband. Now I'll come around and stand on the foot plate, activate the test again, and you can see I'm now passing all 3 tests. And as a final demonstration, I'll detach my wrist strap, I'll step off of the foot plate, and I'll perform the test once more. And you can see that I have failed on all 3 tests. Now, as Tim mentioned, there is a relay in the Combo Tester X3. And the Combo Tester X3 will require all of the tests that are set up to be performed to pass in order to activate the relay. So Tim mentioned that the test limits are adjustable. You can also deactivate tests. So if you're in a facility where you only use footwear, you can deactivate the wrist strap test. Then when you perform the test and you pass your footwear, the relay will activate and you'll be able to go through the turnstile or the gate as you need. The relay itself is very simple, so it's designed to work with more or less any access control device, so a gate or a turnstile or a door, whichever you prefer. But also, as you can see here, we sell a fully integrated turnstile system. So this turnstile, currently it has the SmartLog Pro attached on the top here, but this can be fully integrated with the SmartLog Pro, the Combo Tester X3 Plus, and the Combo Tester X3. One of the things I just mentioned, that with the Combo Tester X3 and also the X3 Plus, whichever tests are set up on that device to be performed need to pass in order to gain access. One of the benefits of the SmartLog Pro, Tim mentioned that you can set up individual test requirements per operator, and we're going to demonstrate that now. So again, I'll just bring the camera closer so you can see on the display. Just wait for the camera to adjust. I have 2 proximity cards here, so you can see there is a proximity card reader embedded into the device. And when I scan this card, you'll see that it tells me that this operator has to perform a SMOC test or a wrist strap test. We'll just cancel that so we can demonstrate the other card, which will tell this operator that they need to test both footwear and wrist strap. Now what we'll do, first of all, I have a cord connected to my SMOC, and I'm going to plug that into the tester. Excuse me. Again, I'll swipe the badge, I'll perform the test, and it's going to show me, so Tim mentioned this, it's going to give a very quick visual alert, perform that once more, to show me which tests have passed and which have failed. So it shows me that my footwear has failed. And that means that I'm not going to be able to gain access through the turnstile. If I perform the test again, but this time I stand on the footplate, you'll see I've achieved a pass. That beeping you can hear is that the turnstile has activated, and now you'll see that I can pass through the turnstile quite easily. Remount the camera there. I'll just adjust that up. So that's a quick overview of some of the accessories and some of the testers that Tim's mentioned. One of the things I'd just like to reiterate is that all of the accessories that Tim has mentioned can be used with all of the testers. So here we have the contactless test switch attached to the Combo Tester X3, but it can be attached to the SmartLog Pro as well. Equally, the Combo Tester X3 can be used with the turnstile, and similarly with the Combo Tester X3 Plus. The glove test fixture also works with all three testers, and we have the Combo Tester X3 on the stand if that's preferable to wall mounting, but all of the devices can also be wall mounted as well, pretty straightforwardly. Because of how involved these products are, particularly the SmartLog Pro, which is obviously a software-driven product, it's very difficult to give much more than an overview during these webinars. So what we'd recommend, if there's any interest in these solutions, that you'd contact us for a one-to-one virtual demo. As I mentioned earlier on, we're ready to do that at more or less a moment's notice, and we'll get that set up, and we'll be able to speak to you specifically about the solution that you're interested in, answer all your questions, make sure the product meets your requirements, go into the features in much greater detail, particularly the software capability of the SmartLog Pro and Team6 solution, which is extensive. It is the most powerful software-driven solution on the market. And I know that Tim is going to go into a bit more detail now on the data acquisition solution, so I'll hand back to him for that. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Stephen. So you remember that earlier on we mentioned the two requirements of the standard in addition to the test limits, and we spent some time looking at the access restriction requirement. The other requirements of the standard we mentioned, as you can see on this slide, is that a record must be kept of compliance verification tests. And a lot of companies will meet this requirement using a paper tick sheet or sign-off sheet, and that would be compliant to the requirements of the standard. However, paper logging systems have proven to be inaccurate. I have visited companies on a Wednesday, and the whole week has been ticked to show employees have passed their tests. So a tick is no guarantee that an employee has tested at all, let alone passed. Having data acquisition can enhance operator accountability and improve the accuracy of the data. At the same time, automated data collection reduces the cost of managing and auditing the compliance verification records. So the SmartLog Pro is obviously quite a detailed product, and we don't want to take lots of time going into all of the details today. So we're going to highlight a few of the main features and encourage you to schedule a one-to-one virtual demo with us to go into everything in more detail. But here's some of the key highlights. So you're able to choose how an employee registers for their test. So for example, if the employees are already using cards for access to the building, you can use the same cards with the SmartLog Pro. And all personnel grounding methods can be tested, as we've just seen with Stephen there on the demonstration. The display is more interactive with the operator. So this displays the name, which tests to carry out, and then color-coded pass or fail results. So they can instantly see that they have passed or what or if anything has failed. The display will also show the operator the test results and values. We also sell a full turnstile system. Now, as Stephen mentioned earlier, since the SmartLock Pro has a simple relay, it's really straightforward to integrate it with any access control gate, door, or turnstile. So if you have a preferred local supplier, it's highly likely that you'll be able to integrate the SmartLock Pro. And we've included some brief information on our turnstile system as an option. As we mentioned, this is a powerful system with many features and capabilities. And so we're only giving a brief overview of the capabilities during this webinar. And just a simple reminder, if you are interested in any demo, my contact details will be on the screen at the end of the webinar, and we can arrange a virtual demo to demonstrate the wide range of features for the SmartLock Pro and Team6 Software. As you can see on your screen, there's a little bit more information about the Team6 Software. And the Team6 software is used for monitoring the test activity of all operators, and also can be used to track if an operator is due to have their annual training or their training is overdue. The supervisor will receive an email to let them know as well. Team6 will also provide reports by email or via a web report, and these can be used in all sorts of ways. So for an example, I've been to facilities where they have a big screen in the lab on the wall, and this is connected to the Team6 software. So if an employee has not tested or has failed their test, their name is on the screen, which means that this has led to improved operator testing. And if an operator has failed, then they would find a supervisor for replacement equipment. So by automating the test data collection and reporting, we can greatly increase the accuracy of the compliance verification records, and also reduce the cost of doing so compared to a paper system. Stephen, do we have any questions?
Thanks very much, Tim. And actually, first of all, before we get into questions, and thank you for those, we'd just like to put up a poll, as we have done in previous webinars. As we mentioned, this equipment is available for a one-to-one virtual demonstration. So if you'd like to request a virtual demonstration, this is a great way to do it right away if you have any interest in that. So you can select one or more of the options that are on the screen. And what we'll do then is follow up with you directly and organize that virtual demonstration. In fact, there have been a few questions, Tim, asking about setting up a virtual demonstration already. So what would really help us, even if you've already asked that question, if you could just respond on the poll to let us know which device you'd like the virtual demo for, and we'll organize that. We're going to leave the poll running for a little while, and we'll get into a few of the questions that have been submitted. So a number of the questions that have been submitted are, let's say, detailed questions on the features, and I really think those are best answered by virtual demonstration. So perhaps for those questions, if you're okay with it, we'll leave those for now and address those during virtual demonstration. There has been a really good question here about so we've said, Tim, that a data acquisition system will save costs, save management costs, save auditing costs. What do we mean by that? And the real question is, how much time does it take to collect all of the paper tick sheets? Perhaps you have a person who does that at the end of the week, takes it off the wall, transposes it from a tick sheet or a sign sheet into Excel or some other database format, and keeps that collected. Maybe it's kept on a paper sheet and it's filed away, and compare that to data acquisition, it's obviously much quicker. The instant the test is performed, that test transaction is sent back to the software and it's saved and it's safe. Also, how do you organize reporting? How do you provide management with reporting on that information? Everything would have to be manual. Even if it is loaded into a spreadsheet, which would be a manual process to begin with, you then have to separate out that information according to what each manager or each supervisor wants to see. Presumably they only want to see their department. So the software will handle all of that reporting for you. Actually, what we'll do in a second is click back to the previous slide that Tim showed, and you'll see the screenshot of the web reports, which shows operators assigned to their departments, and you can organize the reports so that each report is created per department. So there are all sorts of things that a software-driven system will allow you to do an awful lot more quickly and more accurately, and therefore save time. We often hear from customers who are using this system about auditors who come in and ask to see test results. They don't want to see last week's test results. They'll ask to see test reports from 6 months ago. The chances of those being readily to hand is pretty slim, whereas in the Team6 software, that's a click away. Actually, we're going to close the poll now so that we can see that on the screen. So you can see on the right hand side there, you've got a list of users, and then you might just be able to make out that one of the headings is department. Now this is dummy data for our presentation, but the departments listed are 100, 200, 300. But equally, this could be test, this could be sub-assembly, this could be final assembly, different departments within your facility, so that you can easily break down the test results and see the information that's pertinent to you. So that's the power of a software-driven solution versus a paper-driven solution, and that's how it will save money for yourselves if you implement it. As I mentioned, a lot of the other questions are really details on different features, and the ideal thing would be to demonstrate that in person. So we'll organize those virtual demos with the people that have requested them. Thank you very much for those who have completed the poll. I'm going to hand back to Tim now to wrap up the webinar. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Stephen. So on your screen now, you can find my contact details. So if you require approval or were not able to answer the poll question on virtual demos, please don't hesitate to contact us, and we'll be able to arrange a virtual demo of any of the products we spoke about during this webinar today. But I'd just like to say thank you for your time. And yeah, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us, and we'll answer all of those questions in the follow-up to this webinar. Thank you very much.